What's going on, guys? Getting in the green. Going to give you kind of a full breakdown of UFC Fight Night Mackenzie Dern versus Marina Rodriguez. This card just keeps getting shot down. I believe we're down to 9 fights now. So
9 fights.
It's going to be tough for DraftKings, honestly, to kind of separate yourself from the pack. But a couple smash spot bets are still here. We'll go over for you guys. So let's just get it kind of started. First fight of the night. We've got Garcia versus Ontiveros, and we got Garcia coming in at minus 310, Ontiveros at plus 250.
DraftKings, you got Garcia, kind of a wide favorite here. I guess he is a minus 300, but 9,100, second most expensive fighter. Get Ontiveros all the way down at 7,100, so pretty wide gap there. Corey, why don't you lead us off? What do you think on this fight?
I mean, first, I'll be the first to say I don't think I ever thought I'd see Steve Garcia at a minus 300 against anybody. This is a really tough fight for me because I know I've listened to a lot of people and they think this is going to be one-way traffic for Garcia. Ontiveros is definitely the definition of fragile. He's thrown in his own towel 3 or 4 times. He's been finished in all 7 of his fights. He's not very good, but he's coming down in weight.
Yeah.
And he is an absolutely explosive striker.
Let's talk about that. Very weird fight as far as the weight differential. So, Ontiveros has fought at 185. That's where he fought Holland at middleweight. This fight's taking place at lightweight. Did successfully weigh in today. So you got a guy dropping from middleweight to lightweight. Garcia has fought much of his career at bantamweight. He's coming from featherweight in the most recent one, but you got a guy that's going up 2 weight classes from where he's competed, and a guy going down from 2 weight classes to meet. Very strange kind of, you don't get a lot of fights in the UFC where they've spent that much of their career at different weights. So
yeah, and I think Ontiveros,
I don't know.
Ontiveros did most of his fights at 170 and then kind of went up for the Holland fight.
Yeah, short notice.
But I mean, he looked massive against Holland. So the fact that this guy made 155 is impressive in its own right. Look, I'm going to say Garcia is the better fighter here. Ontiveros definitely, though, has that knockout possibility. So DraftKings, I can't trust Garcia, but with the 9-fight slate, probably going to have to play some of him.
Yeah.
Ontiveros, I'll definitely be playing probably a little heavier, especially at his price point. And, I mean, this is one of my smash spot bets, though, for the night. I'm going to be going max bet. Fight doesn't go the distance.
Yeah, we get that anywhere, depending on what site you're using, anywhere from minus 200 to minus 275. Not bad.
Look, Ontiveros will quit before 15 minutes is up, and if he wins, it's going to be because he just flash KOs this guy.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked if this left the first round, let alone go 3, so no bet here on the actual fight, but I will be pounding the fight doesn't go the distance. What about you?
Yeah, it's a tough fight to call. There's a lot of unknowns. Neither are really a high-level fighter, if we're going to be honest. Like you said, Ontiveros is clearly an explosive guy, has knockout power. You know, he even rocked Holland a little bit in that first sequence. He has clearly an explosive guy, but I mean, this is a guy who, gets knocked out by the wind blowing next to him. That's the type of fragile we're talking about. One of the most fragile guys we've seen in MMA, and I just can't pick that guy.
I'm not even sure he should be a fighter. I mean, I'd probably tap out in these situations, and that's why I'm not an MMA fighter.
Yes.
This guy's trying to go to the UFC, and he just doesn't like to be punched.
Yeah, I mean, Gutierrez should win this fight. He's a big favorite for a reason. Garcia, sorry. But I don't know. It's closer than it should be, and it's just because I don't have faith in either fighter. I'm going with Steve Garcia to win this. I'm going to probably pick a first-round KO because of the frailty, and I think these guys are going to trade. Garcia definitely has power. I just don't know where it translates. He's shown good striking. Most of his knockouts have come at bantamweight, which he's definitely a heavy hitter for the division. Does that translate to 155? On top of that, usually when you're cutting a lot of weight, that does not help your knockout ability. So I'm not, Ontiveros is already a guy who's so fragile. I don't think this weight cut helps his chin issues. If he's dehydrated, had a hard weight cut. Going with Garcia first round. I do like the bet, but the fight won't go the distance. Definitely will be playing a little bit of Ontiveros on DraftKings. And yeah, I think Garcia is a little rich at 9,100 for his skill set, but with 9 fights, and if you think there's going to be a finish in here and Garcia is most likely to get it, you're probably going to have to put him in some of your lineup. So I'll be playing both. I do think the fight gets finished here. Not a huge confidence level. I just think it's a relatively low-level fight, if we're going to be honest.
Yeah. All right, coming in on the next fight here, and this fight got switched out fight week here. We had a late replacement. So we've got Godinez at -270 fighting the short notice Juarez at +220.
DraftKings, Godinez, you can get at 8,600, and let's see if Juarez is up, 7,600. So,
look, I had Godinez in a smash spot if she got to fight Hughes.
Yep.
Not only had they fought twice before as amateurs, she had her number. She was going to be the significantly faster and better striker in that fight. Juarez here is interesting to me because I feel like they even themselves out on the feet now. It is a short notice fight, but Juarez was supposed to be fighting on Tuesday of the upcoming week, so she's in shape. She's ready. We shouldn't have cardio issues.
No. Both made weight as well.
Yeah, I know there's doubts about Juarez's competition level at some of these regional scenes that she's been fighting in. But this chick is legit, and God, I think she just wins some of these striking exchanges. I would say Godinez's best path to victory, which isn't her MO, is get this thing to the ground, and she should dominate down there, but I'm not sure she'll take it there. And at +220, I'm on the dog here.
Yeah, I don't disagree with your reasoning. I think it's closer. I think the odds are wrong in this. I think it's a closer fight. It's clearly a harder fight for Godinez, I believe, than the original one that was squared off there. With that being said, I'm going Godinez. I think it's just the safer pick. She does have a pressure-heavy style. I think the striking should be relatively even, but I do think her overall strength and pressure will ultimately win her a decision. And I think it's going to be one of those fights. Even if she has one coming up, different opponent, everything, I still think this is one of those. It's very close until it isn't in round 3, and it's kind of Godinez takes over, has a clear decision. Low confidence level. Juarez definitely has not faced good competition, so that's an X factor on both sides. Which, does she look just as good against better competition, or is this a huge step up from her? That's the one I want to see. Safer pick for me is I'm going with Godinez by decision. DraftKings, what do you feel on DraftKings?
I mean, God, the problem is here again. We're at 9 fights, and I'm gonna probably tell you that every fight is a must play at this point.
Yeah, you're gonna have to play 6 of them.
Honestly, though, of the 9, I will be fading this one the most. I see decision written all over this fight. Volume's going to be decent, but there's going to be a bunch of finishes on this card. It's just going to depend how the money works after that Hawes fight dropped out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to have trouble with the decision. I'm going to have trouble paying $8,600 for Godinez.
Yeah, I mean, I like Juarez's spot. I think you said 7,600.
76, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good spot for her. For me, picking her to win this. I also want to point out, her fight against Ariana Lipski was a war, man. And Lipski ended up winning that fight and kind of imposed her pressure on her. But we found Lipski is a legitimate UFC striker.
Yeah, she is.
And I think she's going to translate, man. I think this fight, not only is it closer than it is, I mean, complete stylistic change-up here last minute for Godinez is more of a shocker than... when you're going to the Contender Series for Juarez, you're kind of training everything. You're just trying to make it. Where I think Godinez had a full camp. She was set to fight somebody that she knew she was going to win in these striking battles. And so I think the last-minute change might actually favor Juarez here.
Yeah, could. Interesting fight. I'm sticking with the favorite, Godinez, but... definitely going to avoid a bet in general on this fight. Late notice fights are always tough, especially when we still think it's a pretty close fight. I would definitely fade this fight for a bet. It's a lot of unknowns going in there.
All right, next we've got Rosa at plus 150 minus Damon Jackson minus 175.
This is a good fight. Me and Corey definitely have different feelings on this one. So let's see. You get Jackson at 8,400, and you can get Rosa at 78. So relatively close fight. You want me to take this one first?
Yeah, go for
I'll
it.
go. So I got nothing against Rosa. I think he's put on hell of entertaining performances throughout his UFC career, but he's a guy who just first off probably on the downside of his career. Fought in the UFC a while. Definitely not going to make a title run, not going to improve, getting a little older. He also has just not evolved his game at all in the UFC. He's alternated wins his entire career. It's kind of what you'd expect. He's a guy that, jack of all trades, decent everywhere. Decent striking, not amazing striking, but a gritty guy. Known as a jiu-jitsu guy, but has some of the worst takedown defense I've seen in the UFC. He's just been taken down by jiu-jitsu players that are not wrestlers or strong offensive grapplers in that sense. And when they get him down, you have a guy who is completely too comfortable with his jiu-jitsu, happy to be on his back, no urgency to get up, and kind of thinks maybe a submission will come, and has really been kind of disappointing in his grappling, to be honest, considering how it was touted in his two most recent losses to Minner and Mitchell, who are very good on the ground. I don't want to underplay that, but it wasn't like we had a competitive ground fight. Absolutely dominated on the ground was Rosa, who was supposed to be going into some of these fights possibly the better jiu-jitsu practitioner. I'm very much on Jackson here, and it's just a stylistic thing. I don't think he's so different than either of those guys. He's kind of a very similar fighter to Rosa. Not amazing at anything, has decent striking. If the fight stays standing, I still think Jackson can win it. Not super confident. I don't think either of their strengths are good at striking. And I'm just very confident that at some point in this fight, Jackson will get a takedown, get on top, and Rosa will be way too comfortable and just lose rounds. I don't think he will get dominated in the same way Mitchell and Minner did, because I do think those guys are better grapplers. But Jackson is a good grappler. That's where he wants to fight, and I think he will be able to take it there. Ultimately, a closer fight. I think we'll have a close round one, but I do think once Jackson sees the path of least resistance is to get it to the ground, and that he's not getting too much resistance with the takedown, he will get that and win a comfortable decision, no problem.
So I don't disagree with any of those points. However, I have the same complaints about Jackson that you have on Rosa. Is that guy just is way too complacent with being on his back.
Yeah.
And look, he's riding this wave where, he was able to pull off the third round submission on Bektic in his return fight to the UFC. I mean, obviously before getting pounded out by Topuria, but I mean that's not a knock on anybody's record at this point. That guy's an animal.
Yeah.
But in the Bektic fight, I mean, he was cruising to a dominating loss.
Yeah. He basically out cardioed and willed him, but he was definitely losing that fight.
Aggressively losing it, and he just was accepting bottom position.
Yeah.
Again, trusting his jiu-jitsu too much. Same, complaints we have about Rosa.
True, but I think Bektic is a far better wrestler.
Right. I don't even think this fight goes to the ground, though.
Yeah.
Look, Rosa's takedown defense is terrible. Jackson's takedowns are not good.
No.
That's not his game. He's great at sweeping. He generally likes to pull into guard, and then he kind of takes over positions there. Rosa also has never been subbed, and as bad as his submission offense is, his submission defense is second to none. We've seen this guy in some tight submissions, doesn't panic, works out, intelligently. I see this standing up, and I don't think it's close on the feet. Damon Jackson is this, forward and back, 1-2 combo kind of guy. And I think Rosa just picks this guy apart at distance, and I think their grapplings are so similar that it's just going to kind of negate each other. And we might get a lot of time up against the cage here. But I think it stands. I think Rosa wins minutes, and he wins a decision here. I don't see him getting subbed late by Jackson to save the fight for him. So For me, I'm going Rosa by decision, and I think it just plays out on the feet more than we'd expect.
I don't see it that way. I mean, if Jackson is really getting pieced up on the feet, which I think it's closer because I think they're both bad, you got to take the obvious game plan, which is to take it down. Even if Rosa somehow ends up on top because of the sloppy takedown, I think this fight will go to the ground, just because of the game script of how you have to beat somebody. Even if it doesn't work successfully, I think there will be scrambles, and that's why I'm going with Jackson there.
All right,
Decent play, 8,400.
I'd say both of them. Honestly,
yeah,
however this plays out is going to be DraftKings delight. If somebody is getting the takedowns and the other person is good enough to get back up, and then we just repeat.
Yeah.
This fight could surprisingly kind of end up optimal there.
Yeah, and it's definitely like, I'm not confident Jackson's going to pull off what I just said, but if he does, he will score a lot because there will be takedowns, he will be on top, control time, ground and pound, submission attempts. It will be a high-scoring fight. Obviously, if it plays...
All right, now moving into kind of that smash spot for both of us. We got Romanov at minus 625 now, and versus Vanderaa at plus 450.
Yeah, you got a most expensive fighter, not surprising on DraftKings. 9,200 for Romanov. Vanderaa, you get all the way down at 7,000.
Look, we saw what happened to Vanderaa versus Stipe. No, not Stipe.
You're talking about Vanderaa versus Tafa? Or are you talking about when he lost?
He lost.
Yeah, he lost to Spivak.
Spivak, sorry.
Yeah.
Spivak was able to take him down
At will.
And look, nowhere near the offensive wrestler that Romanov is. Vanderaa bounced back, nice fight against Tafa where he was able to kind of keep it at kickboxing range and had a great gas tank that we didn't expect. But Romanov's an animal, man. I see him getting on top here and just ground and pound or finding that sub in the first round here. I don't see him picking up much resistance, and he's a must-play on DraftKings for me because this is just a smash spot. Cash, GPP, doesn't matter. He's worth the money here.
Definitely. And the guy scores. So his last fight against Espinal was a very close fight, even controversial with how it went, but totally different style. He was an incredible grappler that was able to challenge him on the ground. When he fights a guy that he's trying to get on top of and is a striker primarily, which is the case here, he scored 128 and 110 and dominant. He gets on top. He doesn't stop throwing strikes until he gets the sub or the TKO. That's his style. Surprisingly athletic and active guy for his size. Some people have pointed out that Vanderaa is like one of the few guys in heavyweight that's probably as big as him. True, but seeing how easily Spivak took him down, Romanov's a much better wrestler. I do think this is an all-day. He's going to crush him. Even if you somehow feel differently than me, I still don't think Vanderaa is going to win. If you do take Vanderaa by KO or fight doesn't go the distance is a great bet here. Because Romanov will do what he does and he will get the finish. And I don't think the only thing that will stop him is him getting KO'd. Otherwise, he should cruise there. So fight doesn't go the distance, you can get it minus 450. Interesting. The bet we really like that's better is just Romanov by his handicap points or inside the distance. Either one that you prefer. Romanov inside the distance, you can get at between minus 240 to minus 300, depending on who you're betting with. That's actually gone up quite a bit from where it was at the beginning of the week. And his handicap, minus 3.5 Romanov, you can get at still minus 350. What did we get it at earlier?
We have his handicap at minus 300 already.
Minus 300. So it's moved up to minus 350 and even minus 400 on some sites. So maybe inside the distance is worth it because of the line change. If you can still get it at that 300 range where we did, great bet. It's a max bet for us. Heavyweight is heavyweight. That's the only concern here. Otherwise, stylistically, this is a cakewalk for Romanov. This is perfect for him to get that takedown, look really good, get the sub, DraftKings, especially with 9 fights, you're going to have to pay for someone. Romanov is absolutely the guy I'm paying for in the majority of my lineups.
Yeah, I agree. All right, now we're already into the main card here. So, first fight on the main card, Gutierrez at -260 versus Colares +210.
This is a interesting fight. I've kind of switched my opinion on it. So Gutierrez, pretty big favorite here, 8,900 on DraftKings. Colares, you can get all the way down at 7,300. First fight was announced, and when I watched some original tape, I was very much on Gutierrez here. Good striker, great leg kicks. Doesn't have the obvious effect that an Aldo or a Barbosa's leg kick has, but is absolutely effective, and you can tell that the fighter feels it a few rounds in. No doubt about it. Really effective guy in his striking. His loss, his first loss in the UFC was to Barcelos, who's obviously a complete stud in the division. But if we want to talk about a pressure fighter who puts it on in striking, ultimately wants to get to the fight to the ground, has good jiu-jitsu, he hasn't really fought anyone like that except for Barcelos, who I'm not going to compare Colares to Barcelos from a skill standpoint, but from a style standpoint, very similar. The more I watch, the more I'm coming along, and I think Colares can and will win this fight from exactly that. Pressure and takedowns. I think it'll be a little bit tougher round one. Really, you're going to have, the big question here is going to be, what happens first? Does Colares' kind of relentless pace and pressure and toughness get him a takedown before Gutierrez basically disables a leg or has such a lead standing? Pretty 50-50 toss-up, but in that scenario, I'm taking the underdog. I like Colares to show his immense toughness that we've seen from him time and time again, make it dirty, push it against the cage, put on pressure, eventually get those takedowns, and either win a decision or possibly even get that sub.
Yeah, I mean, man, I thought I was going to come in here with a hot take on Colares, and then we were both kind of on the same page with it, which gives me a little more confidence that kind of, you saw what I saw on the tape, is that Gutierrez 1 is just so low volume.
Yeah.
For a guy whose only path to victory is like a point victory. He's not knocking guys out with those hands.
No.
He had the stoppage against Morales with the leg kicks. I don't see that happening again. Everybody knows that's the game plan now. They're keeping an eye on it. Colares is not Andre Ewell. He's not going to stand at distance with you. And the guy is just tough as shit, man.
He is tough.
He'll take a couple punches to get into that grappling scenario with you. And you're not going to phase the guy. I got him by sub here, man. I think he can get this to the ground and just wear on Gutierrez. And, if you listen to that guy's corners, man, they're constantly asking for him for more output. And, look, I think he starts losing this fight. He gets a little desperate and kind of finds himself in a bad situation. And he gets subbed out probably in the third round by Colares. That's going to be my pick here. Yeah, I know I listen to a lot of guys that have this as, again, one-way traffic for Gutierrez, and I don't see it, man. Even in that guy's path to victory, I just don't see him scoring anything.
No, I don't like him for DraftKings for that exact reason. From an actual real-life fight, I could see him winning dominantly. In the scenario where Colares just can't get the takedown, the leg kicks start to pay dividends, jab, move, sure. I could see it. I'm not recommending a bet on Colares. I'm not super confident. But I believe these odds are 50-50 in how I think the fight's going to play out, which makes me have to pick the underdog. And from a DraftKings perspective, yeah, if Colares does what we think he can do, he's absolutely going to score. Going to get takedowns, going to land ground and pound, possibly going to get the sub there, and you're getting him as, one of the cheapest fighter on the card, 7,300. Really opens up your lineup, allows you to get a guy like Romanov. So, yes, I will definitely be playing heavy Colares for DraftKings purposes. Bet standpoint, no, I'm not betting it. And, sure, I could see Gutierrez winning this. He's a talented striker. Yeah. If the takedown doesn't come, I absolutely could see him winning. But again, it's just an odds, value pick here. If you think the odds are 50-50 on how it's going to play out, you have to take the dog.
What are the odds on Colares by submission?
Let's see what I got here. So Colares, the odds have actually been moving in Colares' favor. Just interesting. Colares to win by submission ranges from the site you're using, but anywhere from plus 600 to plus 800.
So I like that for a sprinkle. I think he's definitely got a shot for that. Yeah, look, man, Chris Gutierrez is a good fighter, but I think he's a little overhyped here. I don't know, yeah. I'm with you. I think it's a 50-50 fight. Look, I could see it going either way, but I'm taking the dog here, and I'll definitely put a little sprinkle in on that.
And Gutierrez is another guy who just never took that big leap forward. Like, very basic in what he's good at. He's very good at what he's good at, but it's...
I mean, he has the style to where he should be putting massive volume and pressure behind it.
Yeah, and he doesn't.
And he doesn't.
No.
He just kind of... That's his fighting style, and he just doesn't let it go.
And another reason I'm picking Colares here, I do think ultimately Gutierrez is a little limited as an athlete. Like, I think if he was a better athlete, he would be knocking more people out. He's not bad.
He doesn't have any pop in his hands.
Yes, he's technical. He's a very technical fighter, but like just that knockout power, that explosion, I just don't see it, which makes me think maybe Colares can get this takedown because he's just lacking that overall athleticism there.
And Colares can absolutely take a beating, man.
Yes, he can.
I mean,
Montel Jackson fight.
Montel Jackson
Could
went
not
balls
put him
to the
away.
wall to get him out of there and couldn't get it done. Yeah, I'm going with the tough guy here. You know, I faded Malarkey a little bit last week. You know, that tough guy that's got paths to victory, and I'm not going to do it again. So I'm going Colares here.
All right, let's move on to the next fight.
All right, next fight we've got Mazo at minus 170 versus Agapova plus 145.
It's an interesting fight. Definitely two prospects of the division here. Mazo, both very affordable. 8,300, Agapova 7,900. So close fight all around. We're a little split on this one. I'll go first. I'm going to take Mazo, and it's for very almost similar logic of what I'm picking with Ontiveros, of just I got to see it before I can believe it. For Ontiveros, it was he's so fragile, I just can't pick that guy to not get knocked out here. Same thing with Agapova here, where I think they're pretty evenly talented. I think Agapova's faster. I think she's going to put... I very much think Agapova will win round one. And I think they're both big and long, so that a lot of times Mazo uses that. She's not going to have that advantage here. Ultimately, I think Agapova is a better striker, but I just do not believe some of the BS that came out of last camp and the blame. I do think she has a little bit of a cardio issue. I do think she had a little bit of a, once the going gets tough, wear and tear, she quit. And I believe Mazo, I think it's an pretty even fight. And I just believe that someone's going to take round 2 and 3 based on that advantage. And that's as simply as I could put it. I think Mazo might be able to get to the ground, especially late. I think Agapova probably has an advantage striking, but I don't think it's huge. I don't think she's going to go KO her immediately. And I'm just taking the safer pick here in Mazo to ultimately do very similarly to make Agapova quit, or at least go to not the level she's at in the first round because of some of those issues. And that's where I'm sticking. So I like her at 8,300, especially if the fight plays out how I think it will, which almost makes Agapova a punching bag come round 3 due to some of those issues.
Yeah, I'm going to be on the other side of this one, and for a couple of reasons. One, look, I think there's just a lot of recency bias put into this line. Agapova's got the worst loss in UFC history as far as odds go. She was a minus 1250 in her last fight. Absolutely let the gas tank go in the first round, and then Shannon Dobson just put it on her in rounds 2 and 3. She took that fight on 1 month after her win. Kind of seemed like she needed the money. She was drinking her own juice. Saw the odds, kind of went like, I'm going to get this chick out of here, get fight of the night bonus kind of stuff. I know a lot of rumors coming out of the camps. This chick's a druggie, she's threatening fighters and all this stuff. But look, you don't become a minus 1250 favorite in a fight unless you've got some serious fighting skills behind you. She's a fucking banshee when that bell rings. Like, she just goes balls to the wall. And I hope she scales it back slightly to where we can save this gas tank. Or hopefully she's worked on her gas tank. But her aggression is going to put Mazo on her back foot. Mazo loves to keep the distance, to circle around. I don't think she's going to be given these opportunities. Now, look, could she gas? Yeah, of course she could gas. I mean, even in her fight she won before that, she might have been on pace to gas there if she doesn't get the finish. I think, though, after full camp, kind of, they're saying her mind is right now. I think she's just the better fighter here. Now, obviously, with the gas tank issues, that's scary, but I think she gets it done, too. I think Mazo can't handle the pressure, and I think she finishes her in the first or the second.
I was about to say that. The Banshee thing, that's kind of my whole point. She can't change who she is. Even if she has better cardio, better this, she better put her away in the first. Because I don't care if she does come in with better cardio. It's just in her nature. She's
going to unload.
She's not going to be calculated. She's going to go balls to the wall. So she better get that finish, or I do believe she's taking over, and I don't know if she gets the finish. But yeah, and I don't blame her for that. It's an exciting style. It is an exciting style, and I think she will come in with better cardio than before. I don't think it's going to be that massive drop-off. But she can't control herself. It's her style. She's a crazy person in there, a banshee. She throws everything. She throws volume, and I think it's almost like, again, I'm not dissing her. It's styles, but it's almost like a bully mentality, though. It's when you're bullying, you look good. Once that person didn't fold and you got a little tired, things can go bad quick. And I'm going to side with, until I see it. Maybe she comes out, looks great, looks calculated. Because I think she is a more talented fighter, probably straight up. But I think I just don't know if she can do it for 15 minutes.
I do like this fight on DraftKings, though, either way.
Yeah.
Winner's going to put out some insane volume.
Yep.
Even if she gasses, I mean, it's going to take insane volume for Mazo to win round 2 and 3. Yeah, I see this one scoring really well, and I think they're priced just perfectly placed there in the middle to kind of make value here.
Yep.
I don't have a bet on this fight, but I'll be playing it pretty heavy on DraftKings.
Same here.
All right, let's move on. And this one is just, honestly, to me, this is the best fight on the card.
Good fight.
We got Elliot at plus 170 and Mateus Nicolau at minus 200.
And you got Nicolau 8,500, and Tim Elliott at 7,700. So very, again, before we even get into the breakdown, very affordable on DraftKings. Super high-paced fight. These guys, especially if you've ever watched Tim Elliott fight, Tim Elliott absolutely puts a pace on people, wrestles the whole time. These guys are gonna score either way. Even Nicolau 8,500, he's gonna be forced to score, and he's either gonna fold or he's not, and he's gonna win, and he's gonna score because of that, but because of Tim Elliott's style. But yeah, it's a tough fight. I went back and forth. Even right now, I really want to convince myself to pick Tim Elliott because I like Tim Elliott. He's a grinder. He's got an awkward style, awkward striking, awkward grappling. Really big, tall for the division, and he's just beaten guys that he's lost. He's got a very so-so record, but he's beaten guys that are just better fighters than him. Plain and simple. He just is that type of fighter. It's hard not to root for a guy who's just continually improved. I mean, this is a guy who ultimately did lose. This guy won rounds against Mighty Mouse when Mighty Mouse was completely unbeatable, and it was a joke that he got a title shot off the Ultimate Fighter redemption winner. And comes in there and almost shocks the world. It's a hard guy not to root for. Seems like he's improving. He's coming off a really dominant victory over Espinosa, who was also a wrestler, who he really imposed his... Didn't look like a wrestler. Tim Elliott completely dominated him. Looks like his grappling, his cardio, his general game planning is getting better. And I want to pick Elliott here. I think it's a tough stylistic matchup. I'm ultimately going safe and picking Nicolau. Nicolau is definitely the more technical striker. Definitely probably packs more punch. Good athlete. Great on the ground. Great at jiu-jitsu. Ultimately, I think he will just land the cleaner strikes. I want to say that Elliot's kind of not the guy that used to run into dumb submissions, but it's definitely a possibility here. I think he is a little smarter than that, but I don't even necessarily think he will get the best on the ground with Nicolau. Ultimately, this is going to come down. Nicolau is just the better fighter. Tim Elliott's beaten a lot of guys that are better fighters than him. In this case, I think Nicolau's got too much talent, too many advantages, and I'm going to pick him. But I'm very on the fence on this pick. I won't bet on this fight because of this, and I probably will be playing this fight 50-50 on DraftKings. But my official pick, I'll go with Nicolau. And I'll go with decision.
I'm with you, and I've got him by submission. And not because Tim Elliott puts himself in a dumb submission, more so a third-round desperation submission. The jiu-jitsu of Nicolau is, for me, the game changer here. He's definitely the better kickboxer. Elliott's the better offensive wrestler. And Elliott's MO has been, he'll do some crazy striking with you in the beginning. But if he starts to feel, the tide turn, he's getting, jabbed or kicked from the outside, it's an instant, I'm taking this to the ground, and I'm going to just try and outwork the guy I'm fighting. And I just don't know if that takes him out of danger against Nicolau. Where I'm like, one, I don't think Tim Elliott's top pressure is good enough to hold him down for an entire round. I could see a sweep. I could see Nicolau getting back to his feet. I also think that at distance, he is going to get, Elliot is going to get picked apart here.
Yeah, and a good striker.
Nicolau's got power in his hands, so I can see a little bit of hesitancy just kind of to take a couple to get in there. But ultimately, I see this like rounds 1, round 2, Nicolau. The corner tells Elliot you got to go. And I think he just forces in there kind of out of desperation. Because Elliot's not the kind of fighter that's just going to accept a loss.
No.
There's no doubt in my mind that third round, if that guy's down 2-0,
he'll go for it.
He's going. He's not going to sit there and just take another light third round. So for me, it's not like he's going to put himself in a dumb situation. I think he's too good of a fighter for that now. But desperation third round, I got Nicolau by submission here. Definitely, I'll probably end up being 50-50 with you on DraftKings just because the price point just makes so much sense for Elliot.
Elliot gets freaking takedowns. He just does.
He's a workhorse, man, and his gas tank is,
let's talk about his fight against Askarov, which he lost, and ultimately, a lot of people forget that fight. Askarov pretty much KO'd him with a shot, and Elliot was tough enough to make a decision, but that is where the fight became not competitive. And Tim Elliott's talked about this fight, doesn't remember anything after this punch, But before that, Askarov, Dagestani, one of the top wrestlers in the division, just dominated Joseph Benavidez. Tim Elliott took him down 3 times.
Yeah.
In that fight, and landed actually some pretty sweet takedowns. It would not surprise me if he gets takedowns here and wins a decision. But it's just Nicolau has the look of someone who may be a top 5 guy, which is one of the reasons I'm ultimately picking him. It's not just that, hey, I think he's a little more talented. It's I don't even know how talented he is yet, but I have that feeling maybe he really is a title contender type, not just a guy who's got a couple more skills than Tim Elliott.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about a guy here that went toe-to-toe with Manel Kape.
Yeah.
And won a controversial decision. I had him 29-28, but we're talking a really good striker in Kape. He's not out there fighting bums. I mean, that's for your first fight back into the UFC, man. That's about as tough as it gets.
Yep.
Came out on top, and I'm with you. I think he's top 5. I don't think he's a title contender, but who knows? I mean, the guy is still kind of rounding out his game. So good fight though, and on this 9-fight card, man, this is probably the one I'm most looking forward to.
Yep.
All right, let's move into the co-main event here. We got Brown at -230 versus Gooden at +190. The Night Train.
Interesting fight. Gooden did miss weight today, just so everybody knows. About a 4-pound miss. Brown did accept the fight, so it's on. We'll see how that affects anything. Randy Brown, 8,800 on DraftKings, and you can get Gooden all the way down at 7,400. So, close fight. I mean, if Gooden wins, I think Gooden's definitely live for a knockout here. I think the DraftKings spread is a little wider than I would have hoped it would be. I'm picking Brown to win this fight. I think he's got more ways to win. I wish it wasn't 74 to 8,800. I wish it was closer to 8,400 to 7,800 type of scenario. So I am going to have to play some good, and I think he's live for a knockout. Ultimately, Randy Brown is just a more well-rounded guy. Everyone's seen Gooden. He's a huge guy. He's extremely powerful, strong, has serious knockout power. Why I'm picking Brown, Brown just has more weapons. I think Brown is faster, which is going to play a huge factor in this fight. I don't think a weight miss helps his speed either. I think Brown's faster. I think he has more tools in his striking. I think he mixes it up better than Gooden, who's kind of simplistic. He is a technical striker, but he's definitely more of a brawler, and he wants to go 1-for-1 and thinks he has more power than you. I think Brown's a little bit more of a technical striker, and I do think Brown may be able to get this to the ground. Maybe not round one, because Gooden is a strong, powerful guy, but I think he could mix it in. It's just another thing in his toolbox if things go wrong that I think he may be able to get it to the ground. If he does, he will have an advantage there. And ultimately, it's just more ways to win. I'm going with Randy Brown. I'm even going to say that he gets a finish. I'm going to pick a round 2 TKO.
Okay, I'm going with Gooden here for a couple reasons. One is the guy has incredible power for the division. And I mean, that knockout he had against Stolze was just so awkward looking. Elbow above the fist, kind of just pushed it out there and just absolutely knocked Stolze out.
He's also a massive human being. We're talking about a guy fights at welterweight, and he looks like he's bigger than most light heavyweights. That's how big he looks.
His first 2 fights he lost in the UFC, he was just out-wrestled by great offensive wrestlers. Nurmagomedov and Juban beat him just because of lack of volume, really, from Gooden. Was just standing there. The guy is a legit striker, though, man. And well-rounded striker, too. This guy's not Derek Lewis-esque, where he's like, I only throw punches and, I'm hoping to catch you once and end it. Like, this guy's got leg kicks. He's got volume when he lets it go. And the fight that sticks out to me the most, which, look, I'm not going to compare Luque to Gooden by any means. Luque is the way better fighter here. But Randy Brown has this, super wide karate stance. And Luque absolutely disabled that guy's leg. And Brown didn't show the ability to switch. He, would attempt it and go right back to putting that leg at risk. I see Gooden compromising that front leg here and then just landing a big shot, man. And I don't think he's going to be that afraid of even going to the ground with Brown. He's shown great defense on the ground. He lacks the ability to kind of get up, but I can see Brown, getting around there with that. But Brown will have the speed advantage until that leg is compromised, and then I can see him getting caught here.
I don't disagree, and I agree it's close. What stands out to me, though, in the Nurmagomedov fight, and maybe it was because of the threat of the takedown, Nurmagomedov was just much faster, and he just fucked him up standing also. Just jabbed him whenever he wanted, and just looked so much quicker, where I'm like, not comparing Nurmagomedov to Brown, but that one stands out to me where Gooden just looked like petrified, just standing there when he wasn't fast enough. He just stood there and tried to counter and play catch up, and I could see that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Brown is just that good, man.
Yeah, it's an evenly matched fight. Absolutely.
I'm gonna go Gooden. I'm gonna go Gooden by knockout in the second round. Again, another. I don't think I've pretty much said this about every fight except for Romanov, but I'll be playing it both ways on DraftKings. I definitely think Brown's path to victory might not score as well, whereas Gooden, if he does get this done, is going to be, it's going to be a monster score.
Yeah, I will say I'm playing it both ways, but I still feel pretty confident in this pick, even though it's close. I'm going to be playing probably 70 to 75% Brown to 25% Gooden in this one. I just think Brown has the advantage everywhere in this one.
I don't know, man. I don't see it, man. I don't see him being this elite level fighter that he's kind of being made out to be here.
Yeah, I don't think he needs to be elite to be good, and I think Gooden's on the path to being cut from the UFC. That KO saved him. He took it on short notice. More power to him. Um, I don't know. Before a great knockout, his best fight was losing a decision to who was his first fight?
Javon.
Javon, which was a brawl. It was fun. But Javon's a retired fighter that was 40 years old, still outstruck him. You know.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
It should be a good one. It'll be entertaining either way.
There's going to be
because they're going to throw hard.
Excitement, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, let's move into the main event here, and this one is just two high-level prospects, man. Both these chicks have serious games. So we got Mackenzie Dern at minus 190 versus Marina Rodriguez plus 160. And definitely the most binary fight on the entire card, where this is just going to be who can impose their style on the other person.
Yeah. Must play on DraftKings. Both are cheap because it's such a close fight. Dern 8,200, Rodriguez 8,000. So either one who imposes their skill set will win dominantly, in my opinion. Must play. You got Rodriguez. You know what I also want to add in, because it's not insult. It's a very obvious stylistic mismatch here on each one. They are both improving in the other person's field. The difference is these two are specialists in their field.
It's not even going to be close.
Dern has really improved her striking. She really has. Rodriguez is one of the best strikers in WMMA, so it's not going to matter. Rodriguez really improved her takedown defense, really improved her general grappling, improved her ability to get up. Ultimately not going to matter if Dern gets on top of her, because Dern's that much of a specialist on the ground. So it's not to say they're one-dimensional fighters. It's that these two are so good at their areas, it's absolutely going to be who can impose the will. Back and forth on this one. I was huge on Ribas to beat Rodriguez, so there's definitely some concern there for me. I was very, very confident that Ribas was going to get the takedown and keep her down, which played out exactly like that in round one. Round one ended, and I was very confident Ribas was going to win. Obviously, she got knocked out round two, so Rodriguez is definitely live. Ultimately, I'm going to go with Dern. This is back to my general philosophy. If you have a really close fight, one's a grappler, one's a striker. I'm taking the grappler probably 9 out of 10 times. Do you believe Dern gets this to the ground? I think she gets to the ground early, round one, round two, gets the sub. I do think she needs to get the sub in round one or two or win all 5 rounds dominantly. If she's struggling to get the takedown in round one, round two, I don't think she's magically going to get it in round three, round four. Rodriguez's style has shown she has amazing cardio. Not that Dern has bad cardio, but Rodriguez is a machine. She throws volume round 5. She's going to get stronger as the fight goes on. She's not going to tire and all of a sudden give up a takedown. I think Dern needs to get this when she's fresh, explosive, and powerful. I ultimately think she will, but Rodriguez is definitely a live dog here. And very much like the Ribas fight, but also like the her most recent fight with the Karate Hottie, she's shown that she can have a bad round and come back and dominate the next round, even when she got taken down. Forget about it, make sure it doesn't happen again, survive, and thrive. So, interesting. Rodriguez is definitely worth a look here. I'm ultimately going Dern, and I'm going by submission, but I think playing this pretty close to even is not a bad idea. Maybe I'll be 60% Dern. But I also think both really score. I even think Rodriguez might score more in a win. Dern is great. I think she's going to get an early sub if she wins. So you're going to get a takedown, maybe 2, and a sub. If Rodriguez wins, I think she's going to throw massive volume. I think Dern's tough enough to survive that, she might be landing like 200 significant strikes before Dern goes down. So both should score very well if they dominate in their area. But it's an interesting fight. Very impressive fight. Winner probably gets title shot. So, a lot at stake.
Yeah, so I'm leaning Dern here, and I think there's absolute value on DraftKings. The fact that you're getting a minus 190 fighter at $8,200. Yeah. Take all opinions about the fight out. Just odds to price on DraftKings might be the best one I've seen. Style matchup here. Now, MMA math says Rodriguez should win this fight. She beat Ribas. Ribas beat Dern. Ribas, I feel like, kind of fell in love with her hands in that fight with Rodriguez. And was, even in the first round before the takedown, was kind of willing to get into these scraps. And she didn't stand a chance on the feet. It is a little concerning that I didn't even feel like Ribas got remotely close to getting a submission. Even a submission attempt in that first round when she got on top. So maybe Rodriguez's, submission defense has really improved. Maybe not her takedown or get up or anything like that, but if she could just hold off submissions, you stand up at the beginning of every round, and Mackenzie Dern's takedowns are subpar as far as an offensive wrestler. I'm leaning Dern because this fight's 25 minutes, and I think sooner or later, Rodriguez is going to slip, or something's going to happen. She'll overextend on a punch and get kind of, tossed to the ground. And I think Dern is good enough to take her time, kind of work her way to the submission. But, oh man, this is tough. I feel like I'm talking myself into Rodriguez as I'm talking here. But,
fight.
God, yeah, we got a good fight, man.
I will say, Mackenzie Dern has said all the right things.
Yeah, she's going to...
And her camp has said all the right things in terms of...
They also said she looks like a complete monster right now.
Yeah, she's got new strength and conditioning coach. Used to do a lot of the Brazilians, Anderson Silva, a lot of the guys. Looks in great shape. All of her coaches and her are saying, I don't want to get punched in the face. I don't want to make this harder than it is. I'm going to get the takedown. I'm going to get on top. I'm going to sub her. That's it. And it's refreshing. It doesn't mean she's going to pull it off, but she has...
Easier said than done, though.
She has the Maya approach, the Damian Maya approach of, I'm not going to play 1 second that's not my game. May not be able to succeed, but everyone knows what I'm going to do, and I'm going to try to do it. I like that approach in this game. Don't try to set up the striking too much to do it. Don't be like, I need to be sneaky. Go in there and get the freaking takedown, or you're going to get lit up. And I think she gets takedown.
Yeah, I think she can get it done. I'm going to lean Dern here, and I'll be 50-50 on DraftKings. No bet for me.
It's actually a pretty tough...
I think the longer this goes, though, we're going to see, the odds kind of favor Rodriguez. Yeah. And I might just be sitting there live betting this one because...
Yeah, live betting is not a bad idea. If Rodriguez doesn't get finished early, unless, Dern is just getting takedowns no problem, and it's all right, maybe she doesn't find the sub, but she's going to be on top for 25 minutes, then I really do think Rodriguez will have a better gas tank and will turn it on in round 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
So if you feel like the takedowns are getting harder, live bet's a great option for this fight. I don't even think it's going to come to the live bet, to be honest. I think we're going to know really quick what's going to happen here. I think Dern's either going to be able to get the takedown and a round 1 sub's not out of the question, or she's not even going to come close, and Rodriguez is going to be way too fast moving, chopping down the leg, picking her apart with the jab, and just starting to have volume destroy her. So we'll see.
All right, guys. Well, we got a short but exciting card here for you guys. So we'll check in with you guys and kind of recap it next week.